I used to think being a daughter meant sacrificing for your family, but I never imagined the day would come when my own mother would fake cancer just to squeeze money out of me to pay for my brother's wedding. In today's story, you'll hear a tale full of emotion betrayal and ultimately freedom. A young woman spent her entire youth carrying her family only to be pushed out of her own home like a stranger. This isn't just her story, it's the voice of so many who've been suffocated by the burden of family blood. If you've ever felt used in the very house you grew up in, you might just see yourself in this story. Chapter 1: A Fake Childhood. Poor but had to look ch. I was born the eldest daughter in a poor family from a small town in central Vietnam, where the sun could melt rooftops and the storms could wash away everything except debt. We weren't remarkable in any way, except for one thing: our bizarre obsession with appearances. We lived in a tiny tin-roofed house at the end of a dusty alley filled with potholes. The walls were cracked, the concrete floor patched together in chaos. During the rainy season, our home turned into a mini pool. Pots and pans were placed everywhere to catch leaks. The smell of mold even invaded our sleep. My dad worked as a tricycle driver. My mom ran a small grocery shop at the alley entrance, or so she said. Most of her time was spent on Facebook. But don't get it wrong, she wasn't just scrolling for fun. She was the star of our family's online life, carefully crafting a parallel universe where we were poor but wholesome and filled with love. I remember the first time I realized I was just a prop in her performance. I was 8 years old. That day was scorching hot. My mom forced me and my two younger siblings to wear crisp white shirts. Mine was freshly washed. The younger ones wore borrowed shirts from neighbors. She took us to a nearby park and hired a street photographer. We were told to smile brightly and pose like we were joyfully playing. The photo was later posted on Facebook with the caption, "Family Weekend, outing fresh air and quality time with the kids." In reality, I'd gotten a sunburn and my siblings were starving because we hadn't had lunch. After the shoot, we went straight home with no food. Lunch that day was plain porridge with sesame salt. My dad wasn't as active online, but he was a master of exaggeration. To the neighbors, he was the strict but responsible patriarch. But to me, he was someone who liked to show off our dreams like trophies. I still remember hearing him tell the local community leader my daughter's brilliant, got offers from international universities. I'm thinking of sending her to Australia for a better future. I overheard that while doing homework under flashlight during a power outage, and I didn't even know what Australia stood for. That obsession with appearances was like a thin layer of cement plastered over all our family's cracks. And my job, keep it from crumbling. As the eldest, I was expected to be understanding, a role model, and most importantly, silent. Don't talk, or people will laugh at our family, my mom would say. I never got new clothes for the school year. Everything was hand-me-downs, sometimes from distant relatives, sometimes cut-down men's clothing mom made me wear temporarily. Yet on Facebook, she posted, "My daughter loves pastel tones, had to take her shopping to keep up with her friends." I didn't know whether to feel ashamed because we were poor or because we were lying. Every parent-teacher meeting mom would show up in a long dress, full makeup, pretending to be the perfect mother. She'd coach me beforehand. "Tell your teacher I tutor you at home. Compliment me, don't embarrass me." I nodded. I was used to it. I learned that in our house, truth only had value if it was beautiful. If not, bend it or bury it. I once had a tiny dream to celebrate a real birthday. With cake, with candles, with at least one present. The only time I had a cake was in 6th grade, when mom borrowed one from a bakery just to take a picture for Facebook. She returned the cake after saying she's allergic to eggs. Can't eat it anyway. I remember standing in the kitchen watching her put the cake back in the box, feeling like I was just a background character in my own life. Poverty didn't hurt me as much as being treated like a prop in someone else's story. Chapter 2: The Eldest Sister, the Silent Debt Carrier. I dropped out of school in 11th grade. More precisely, it was the start of the second semester, just before the school began prepping for the provincial academic competitions. That day, My mom called me out to the front of the alley where she was picking vegetables to sell for the morning market. For the morning. Your brother's taking his entrance exams this year. We can't afford everything. You stop school for a year, help me with the shop. When things get better, I'll let you go back. I froze. I had always been promised I'd go to college, that I'd have a future. But in front of me was my mother, the woman I respected with red eyes and a hoarse voice from sleepless nights. I nodded. Just 1 year, I told myself. 1 year, then I'll return. I started helping her at the market in the mornings and picked up a night shift as a cafe waitress. I slept 4 hours a day. My mom took every cent I earned. She said it was to save for my future. I didn't question it. 1 year turned into 2, and then 3. I never went back to school. By then, my younger brother was preparing for college entrance exams. Mom said, if you go back now, who's going to support him? He's a boy. We have to invest in him. You're the older sister, you understand, right? Every time I tried to protest, she'd guilt trip me. I gave birth to 3 kids. Barely had time to breathe. You want to move out? Want to watch me die, huh? So I stayed quiet. I kept telling myself, once he finishes school, I'll finally be free. I had a boyfriend once. His name was Tung. We met during a tutoring session. He was a friend of a student's parent. He was gentle, hardworking, and most importantly, he respected me. For the first time, someone asked me, what's your dream, without following it up with expectations or conditions. We dated quietly for almost a year. One day he said he wanted to meet my mom. I hesitated but agreed. That night he came over. My mom greeted him with a mix of scrutiny and contempt. She didn't ask about his job or his family. Her first words were, so are you planning to marry her, or just having fun? Tung was a bit caught off guard, but said politely, we're serious, ma'am, but it's still early. We want to be stable first. My mom scoffed, stable? Then why bring a girl home? She's still responsible for this family. If you marry her, who's gonna take care of us? Or are you planning to support the whole family too? I blushed. Tung fell silent. He didn't say anything that night. 3 days later, he texted me a goodbye. Just one line, I can't carry your entire family. I'm sorry. I didn't blame him. I was just sad that I'd never been allowed to be my own person. I was always a burden that needed carrying. When I was 25, I collapsed from exhaustion, hypoglycemia. I had to be on IV for nearly a week. No one stayed with me. My mom was too busy selling. My brother was at school. Dad didn't even know. Mom called via video just to say, tell the doctor not to give you expensive medicine. Pick the cheap ones. We're broke. I stared at the IV drip as it slowly fed into me. I felt like a tree being drained of its last bit of sap, and no one cared if I was in pain. Later, my younger sister was diagnosed with a thyroid tumor. The entire household was in a panic. For the first time, I saw my mom truly cry. She clung to my sister and wailed, a girl with this illness, how's she supposed to get married in the future? So I went borrowing again, signed for more medicine, endured in silence again. Every Lunar New Year, when relatives came over, my mom would proudly say, she's so gentle, so thoughtful. She's taken care of this family since she was little. It sounded like praise, but what it really meant was, she's a premium housemaid. Don't ask about her education or marriage. Once I mustered the courage to say I want to go back to college, just need help with the first year. I'll handle the rest myself. My mom looked at me like I'd gone mad. College, you're 26. People your age are graduating and working. You want to start now, gonna abandon this family to chase some dumb dream. I nodded. I didn't argue because I knew arguing meant losing my place in this house, but inside something cracked. My life felt like an endless play. I was the lead actress, but with no lines. I just had to smile, play my part, the sacrificing daughter. But I started dreaming of the day I'd step off that stage. Chapter 3, The Slap of Trust. Mom Fakes Illness. I remember that afternoon clearly. It was drizzling. I had just finished my morning shift at the convenience store and hadn't even touched the cup of instant noodles in my hand when my phone rang. It was Mom. I picked up. Her voice was trembling low and shaky, sweetie. I went for a checkup yesterday. The doctor said there's a mass in my uterus. They suspect it's early stage cancer. I I haven't told anyone, but I'm scared, honey. I'm so scared. I froze. The cup of noodles slipped from my hand, the hot broth splashing across the floor, but I didn't feel a thing. My voice caught in my throat. Ooh. What did the doctor say, Mom? Do you need to be admitted? A biopsy? Can I see the paperwork? She paused for a moment, then exhaled slowly. The doctor said, I need more tests, but the hospital fees are too much. I calculated. It'll be about 30 million VND. I don't want anyone to know, not even your father. I only trust you. Please help me. I'm begging you. I had never heard my mom speak so humbly, so pleadingly. I promised her on the spot, don't worry, Mom. I'll take care of it. I'll get you the money this week. 30 million wasn't a small amount. I emptied my savings, the money I had set aside for a final prep course. I sold my laptop, the one I'd had for 5 years. I borrowed from friends. I called every contact I could think of. I didn't sleep for 3 nights straight. I worked, scrambled to gather funds, and spiraled over the idea of losing my mother. I lost weight drastically within 5 days. That night, after I transferred the money, I sat on the balcony of my rented room, looking up at the sky, crying alone. Mom texted me, thank you, my daughter. I knew you were the only one who truly loves me. My heart clenched. It hurt, but there was warmth too. No matter how hard life was, I still had my mom, and I still had a chance to show my love and gratitude. 2 days later, I was casually scrolling Facebook as I usually did, and I saw it. My mom had checked in at a luxury Japanese restaurant in the city center. She posted a photo of an extravagant table sashimi sake premium grilled beef. The caption read, a meal well worth the money. As women, we must learn to love ourselves. Never skimp on self-care. I read that caption over and over again. I hoped it was an old photo. But then I saw a comment from one of her friends. You're feeling better already. You said you went to the doctor yesterday, now you're celebrating. My mom replied, God is good. Just a quick checkup. But it wore me out. Anyway, life's too short. Not gonna waste it. I was trembling. I called her, she didn't answer. I called again and again. Finally, she texted back, I'm busy. Let's talk tomorrow. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I went straight to the hospital. She'd mentioned an international obstetrics clinic. I pretended to be a family member verifying records for insurance purposes. After over an hour, the clerk shook her head. I'm sorry, but there's no patient by that name in our system for this month. Perhaps she went to a different clinic, I thanked her, and left my limbs ice cold. I then contacted a doctor friend of a colleague, asking them to review the scan and test form my mom had sent me. After just a quick glance, the doctor said plainly, this is a fake, wrong font, fake ID number. This template's been circulating online. You can download it anywhere. I went numb. My mother hadn't just lied. She had orchestrated an entire cancer narrative. She had printed out a forged document. She exploited my trust for sashimi. I came home that afternoon. She was watching TV, legs propped up chewing gum. I stood in the doorway. She looked up at me completely unfazed. Oh, you're home. Why didn't you call first? I haven't cooked yet. I sat down and looked her in the eyes. Mom, I know you're not sick. I checked. The test result is fake. The hospital has no record. I just want the truth. Why did you do that to me? She didn't answer right away. Then she shrugged. Well, I was desperate. You had money, and you wouldn't give it otherwise. Who else could I turn to? But I didn't waste it. Okay, I was stressed and needed to treat myself. And anyway, I gave birth to you. Is it wrong to ask my own daughter for help? I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The person in front of me no longer felt like my mother. She felt no remorse. She believed she deserved it simply because she gave birth to me. That night, I returned to my tiny rented room. I turned off my phone. I sat in the dark, and I realized this wasn't just about money. This was about betrayal from the one person I had believed would never hurt me. Chapter 4, The Wedding. The Final Stab. I thought that after the fake illness incident, my mother would at least try to keep her distance, But just a few months later, she called again, this time with a firm, unapologetic tone. No trembling, no guilt. Can you take out a loan under your name? Just 200 million. Your brother's getting married and the bride's family is super snobby. If we don't throw a big wedding, we'll lose face. I know you can do it. You're good with money. I gripped my phone tightly. My voice was steady cold. I'm not doing it. I'm not signing for any more loans. From now on, I live for myself. There was a pause on the other end. Then her tone changed, sharp, venomous. You're ungrateful. I gave birth to you, raised you, and now you turn your back on your own family over some money. Your brother's getting married and you won't help. Are you even human? I hung up. For the first time in my life, I hung up on my mother. I still went to my brother's wedding. Not for my mother, not for him. I went for me. I didn't want people saying I had abandoned my family, skipped out on an important day. I dressed simply a modest beige dress, old but clean shoes. I went alone, parked outside the venue and walked in. At the reception table, they asked for my name. I said I'm the groom's older sister. They checked the list and gave me an awkward look. I'm sorry. Your name isn't listed on the groom's side. Maybe you're from the bride's side, or you can take a seat at the open guest tables in the back. I was stunned. I walked past the long rows of tables, each one clearly labeled groom's classmates, father's colleagues, paternal relatives, bride's close friends. Not a single one had my name. I called my mother. No answer. I approached the kitchen and asked one of the staff to help me find her. A few minutes later, she appeared dressed in a bright red traditional gown, hair, curled face fully made up. I asked her calmly, Mom, did you reserve a seat for me? The reception said, I'm not on the list. She looked at me for a moment, then replied in a flat, dismissive voice, You're a girl. Once you get married, you'll belong to someone else's family. This house no longer has a place for you. If you want to sit, go take a seat in the back. Or leave. I won't stop you. No anger, no emotion, just a cold, bone-deep rejection of my existence. I don't remember how long I sat at that table. It was in the far corner right by the restroom. The others seated there were random acquaintances of the bride. No one knew who I was. When the MC invited the groom's parents on stage, I saw my father, usually so withdrawn, beaming like a politician. My mom teared up as she gave a heartfelt speech, praising my brother as a thoughtful, devoted son and a solid pillar of our future. I waited. Just one line. Just a single sentence like thanks to his sister for all her help. But there was nothing. They sang each other's praises. They crafted a flawless narrative of a loving, exemplary family. And me, I was the nameless extra. Uninvited. Unmentioned. Unthanked. As relatives passed by my table, one woman paused and asked quietly, Why aren't you sitting with the groom's family? Wait, you're really his sister. I thought you were some distant acquaintance. I smiled a stiff, empty smile. I wasn't sad anymore, just hollow. I left the wedding early. No one saw me off. No one asked why. That night I came home and opened my suitcase. I started packing. I contacted a moving service, signed a lease for a small apartment in another city. I got a new SIM card, deleted all old contacts, created a new Facebook account. Before deactivating the old one, I sent my mom one last message. I know I'm no longer your daughter. Thank you for confirming that. From now on, I don't have a mother either. There was no reply, but I knew she read it. Chapter 5, Cutting Ties and Rebirth. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't cry either. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the fan spin slowly, like the final ticks of time, closing a chapter of my life. At dawn I left. No goodbyes, no letters, just one single text to my brother. Congratulations. I hope you live up to the devoted son everyone says you are. As for me, from today, I'm no longer part of this family. I moved to a nearby city, rented a small room on the outskirts, close to a vocational training center. I got a temp job as an assistant accountant for a furniture store. The pay wasn't great, but no one knew who I was. No one asked why my eyes were always red. I started over, took night classes, lived off instant noodles, cut every unnecessary expense. I didn't call home, didn't check Facebook. I lived as though I had no family, and for the first time in my life, I felt light. 2 months later, my aunt, my mother's younger sister, somehow found my number and called. Why haven't you come home? Your mom said you left without a word. Don't you miss your parents? She's really sick this time. Lost weight. Pale, everyone's worried. I asked her, do you know she once faked cancer just to take money from me? Do you know she kicked me out of my brother's wedding because I no longer belong to this family? My aunt went silent, then said softly, but still, she's your mother. That sentence was like a dull blade, not sharp enough to kill, but deep enough to slice through whatever trust I had left. In the 6 months since I left, I received a call from the bank. They asked about a personal loan under my name, a loan I had co-signed for long ago when my mom begged me to. It had gone unpaid for several months. The interest had snowballed to nearly 10 million. I was speechless. I didn't know she was still using my name even after I'd cut ties. I called her old number. No answer. I sent a message. The loan you took under my name. The bank is threatening to sue. I'm not paying. You'll have to deal with it yourself. This time she replied, you really are a venomous snake, abandoning your own mother. I should have died before giving birth to something like you. I didn't reply. I had nothing more to say, and nothing left to mourn. A year later, I graduated from my short-term accounting course. I landed a full-time job at a small trading company. I could finally afford a better room. I bought a second-hand motorbike. I cut my hair short. I started learning English online. I went to the movies alone. I began to learn how to live. For the first time, I wasn't living to please anyone. I was living for me. I don't hate my family, but I choose not to return. I choose freedom, even if it means being alone. I don't want anyone's pity. I just want people to understand. Some children are not ungrateful. They're simply out of trust. I still keep the old messages. The ones like daggers thrown by people I once called family. Not out of spite, but to remind myself sometimes the kindest thing we can do for ourselves is to walk away. You might think I'm a heartless daughter, that's fine. But if you've ever lived like me, asked to sacrifice unconditionally, rejected, treated like a walking ATM, then maybe, just maybe, you'll understand. I didn't abandon my family. I saved myself. She didn't choose to abandon her family. She just chose not to keep being exploited, not to be treated like a mobile ATM or an afterthought in her own life. What do you think about her choice? Was it unfilial or a means of survival? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. And if you've ever been in a similar situation, remember this: no one has the right to make you feel guilty for wanting to live like a human being. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any raw, controversial, yet courageous stories only here on True Reddit Reads.